Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. My name is Becky Robinson, and I am so thrilled to be here today with Mike Easley to celebrate the launch of his new book, Becoming a Leader Worth Following. If you happen to so thank you so much for joining us. And Mike, congratulations. How does it
Yeah,
feel? This important day is finally here.
it started really early this morning because I couldn't sleep very good last night, and so I hit the ground running pretty early, and it's like it almost feels surreal actually. Um, it is like very surreal, one of those combination of, last day of school, first day of school, birthday, Christmas, Easter, kind of a feeling all kind of like all mixed up. So it's nervous, it's exciting, and I'm just grateful for this opportunity and everybody who's kind of joining to celebrate because it really is, it's a celebration. I have like my office decorated things, so I right in front of me is a reminder how much of a celebration this is, not just virtually, but also in real life for me. So thank you guys.
Amazing. Well, every author deserves to celebrate because there is so much time, energy, effort, life experiences, heartaches, joys that come together to form a book. Book. So before we get too far, I do want to take a moment to let you all know a bit more about Mike. If you're here, it's probably because you already know and love him. But one of the things I've enjoyed in getting to know Mike over time is seeing the way he transitioned his career as an executive and a CEO, including 40 years in the electric cooperative industry, and then how he transitioned to being a coach and now a counselor and his new study that he's pursued. So if you haven't caught up with Mike in a while, you may not know that he recently pursued a master's in clinical mental health counseling at Grand Canyon University and has embarked on this new journey of supporting people with their mental health. And Mike, I've just been impressed by your passion and care for the clients and patients that you've been serving since you made this transition of your career. And obviously there's still this side of you that is interested in leadership and supporting and coaching leaders and executives. So you just bring so many great strengths to the world. Another favorite thing that I have learned about Mike in the time I've worked with him is just this home that he has in beautiful Wyoming, and the animals and the land and the beauty and the tranquility and the peace that's represented in the life that he's living. And Mike, I'm just so proud of you and your work to get to this day. So thank you for
Thanks.
the opportunity to support you. Really, really one more quick note. For those of you who were here when we had the music playing, that music is a score that Mike himself, you wrote it and you performed it?
So myself and my friend Paul Peterson. So he's like the good guitar player. He plays all the lead riffs, and I'm like just the human looper playing the rhythm on the background. But yeah, it's just a blues riff, so it's fun. Yeah.
That was so fun to enjoy. So as we get started, we want a chance to engage all of you, and I'm going to share a poll. We would love to know what it is that caused you to choose to be with us during this hour today. So tell us why you're joining, and if you have a different reason for joining that is not represented by my poll, you can go ahead and put the comment in the chat to let us know another reason you might have joined, and we still have more guests joining as we're taking the poll. So are you a super fan of Mike? Is it just that you love a good party? Are you wanting to learn more about Mike's new book? Have you worked with Mike either in some capacity over the years? Or are you someone who says today, I want to discover how to be a leader worth following? So thanks to those of you who are answering the poll. I always love it when I see a bunch of super fans. And Mike, you've got a lot of super fans. So thank you to all the super fans. Let's take a look at the results of the poll. And it looks like we've got a pretty big mix of reasons why people are here today. Nearly half of you are super fans of Mike.
Thank
And
you.
26% of you love a good party. So if you love a good party, I'm curious to hear what it is that you brought to make this a good party. I'd love to see that in the chat. Um, you know, 40% of you want to learn more about Mike's new book. I'm rounding up. About half of you have worked with Mike, and about a third of you are interested in this concept of discovering how to be a leader worth following. So thank you again for being here. One more note about the chat. When we have an event like this, the chat becomes an enduring guest book of your congratulations and well wishes for Mike. So please, at some point during today's event, take a moment to type into the chat your words of encouragement and inspiration for Mike, and we will make sure that this gets to him as something that he can cherish for days and weeks and months into the future. So thank you again for being with us today. So Mike, I forgot the most important thing. Could everybody just take a quick moment and unmute your microphones? And can you make some noise in congratulations for Mike and his book? I'm not really super good at this part, so I'm going to depend on my friend Vicky Halsey. Let's all make some noise and cheer and clap
Woohoo!
your Mike's.
Woohoo! Such hard work all pays off.
Oh my goodness, my dog is here to say her
Well done,
congratulations.
you.
Congratulations, Dad.
So
Thanks,
exciting.
Kendra.
All right, thanks to you all. I'm going to ask you to go ahead and remute your microphones. And Mike, I believe you have some words of thanks for some special supporters as we start today's event.
Yeah, so I'll probably like lose my list, but first of all, I just want to say thanks to Kevin Freiberg, who's part. Kevin has been, if you read the book, Kevin started this amazing journey. So Kevin, thanks for being here. I love you, brother. So thank you. I got family here on too. So my partner Kathy, my daughter Kendra, and if anybody else snuck in, I'm in trouble. And guys like Brian Mills, who worked with at Powder River, maybe Les is on, but just so many friends and family. But really, Becky, I want to just thank you, because had I not taken the chance of reading your book, Reach, I would not have had the vision or even the courage to like go after this. And so seriously, the reason that we're here is because of your book, Reach, and your fabulous team. So thank you so much.
Okay, so invariably people cry, maybe not for this reason. Thank you, Mike. That means a lot to me. And I'm glad. Like I said, I'm proud of your courage to do this. So Mike, let's get started. And could you share with us a little bit about why did you write Becoming a Leader Worth Following?
Well, I started off with a leadership book called the No O's of Leadership, and this book is grew a lot from that. And that book was a great book, and I love the people and the team I worked with to get it out. But as I learned and grew through counseling, it was just like, man, I just fell short. I just didn't get the message out right. And so I was inspired to take another run at it, and to try to basically, going back to a keynote I did with the Ken Blanchard Summit Group many, many, many years ago, where I talked about this idea of becoming a leader worth following. And it took me a while to finally get that focus. And so it's really about a passion of, I was not a great leader, when I first started leadership. And I was hard on some people, frankly. And I tried to maybe cut the cycle time that people are becoming a leader, that they can, be easier on their people, get there faster, take the pain and suffering that I experienced and that maybe I caused, and use it for the power of good to maybe transform and ultimately create this movement of becoming a leader worth following. I mean, what would our world look like, really, people? What would it look like if our conversation on leadership wasn't about crazy stuff that we're seeing, but it was about, hey, what does leadership look like when it's really done well? And so maybe, there's 8 elements in the of the facets of becoming a leader worth following. And what if we just pick 2 of those, as a world, as a country, to judge and to look at the lens of leadership? We would all be in a better place, and our people that we lead would be much better. And so really, it's about transformation and creating a movement of people that are looking at leadership through the lens of becoming a leader worth following. That's the passion. It's bigger than the book. It's bigger than all of us. And each of us, if we really think about it, can contribute and maybe carry this torch a little farther for the next person to pick it up and carry it. And just maybe, we can change the trajectory of what leadership is and what it looks like when it's done well. And shout out to my friend Les Penning. I'm seeing you, Les, in the gallery view. So thank you. And Les and Brian Mills, they worked with me at Powder River Energy, and so they've seen this journey, and they have experienced both the pain and some of the good stuff of my leadership over the years. So thank you guys for being here.
So what strikes me, Mike, is the humility associated with being able to say, hey, I didn't always know how to be the best leader. And as I've grown as a leader, I want to be able to share what I've learned in a way that propels others to become more successful, leading others faster. So that's really powerful stuff. Thank you. I know that you've invited a special guest, your friend and mine, Vicki Halsey. Would you like to introduce her before she speaks?
So Vicki Halsey, the amazing Vicki Halsey, I thank you for being here. I know how busy you are, and I'm glad to see you. And I'll shut up and let you talk because you are one bundle of awesomeness. Oh.
There you go, a bundle of awesomeness on mute. Anyhow, and that's not my favorite place to be, is on mute, everyone. So, hey, so good to see you, Kevin and Kevin, so fabulous, and everyone else. What a gift. This is such an awesome book. Let me ask you all, let's do a quick little leadership sheep dip. Just, I did that in honor of you, Mike. Anyway, let's think. Does the world need leaders? Everyone in the chat, what do you think?
Yes.
Does the world need leaders? Come on, give us some answers real quick, or thumbs up in your video. Come on, let's see. Absolutely. Everywhere I go, people say that. Every keynote. Yes, the world needs leaders. Okay, here's the next question that I want you to type your answers in the chat. Really important. What is the world hoping for? Because I hear that everywhere we go. What is the world hoping for? When everyone agrees, when you agree the world needs leaders, what are people hoping for? Let's see some of your fabulous answers. And go ahead, feel free to raise your hand if you want to share verbally. I'd love to hear your voice. What do you think that Kevin Bullard, I'm going to ask you, what do you think? You get this party started while people are typing. What do you think the world is hoping for? Go ahead, unmute yourself and do tell.
I think one of the things they're hoping for is that someone will step up and lead. Yeah, they want leadership, and they want somebody to step up and lead. And lead what?
Love that, Kevin. And the other Kevin, what do you hear as you travel all over the world? Kevin Freiberg.
I think people want integrity. I think they want their leaders to live what they preach. And I think people want to be loved.
Look at that. All right. Look what everyone said, and my 2 Kevins said. I thought that was clever that I get both the Kevins. Didn't want anyone to. Anyway, but look what it takes. I mean, I just want you to notice that. So I got a doctorate from University of San Diego in leadership. And it took me 7 years, the world's longest doctoral student, because I did have 2 children. It did take forever. But here was the interesting thing. We used a book, a very clever book called Leadership. Great book, all right? That was sort of our core book throughout the whole program. But here's the interesting thing. It's a Pulitzer Prize winning book by James McGregor Burns, 1979. He said, there's a crisis in leadership today. And here's what's interesting and why your book is so important, Mike, because he said the crisis in leadership is intellectual. He said that people don't know what leadership is, and you just said it. What if people knew what leadership looks like and had those 8 elements? But he said, we don't know what leadership is. So we're not recognizing it when we're seeing it. We're not able to train people to be those great leaders. We're not actually able to do leadership. So one of the critical aspects of my program was writing a definition of leadership. So all of you, I challenge you, because it's going to help set up Mike's book. What is your definition of leadership? What do you think leadership is? I'll give you an idea. This will save you 7 years. Here was my definition in our eval at the end. We all had to have our definition and defend it. So here's a starting place for your definition. I came up with leadership is an influence relationship among leaders and followers who achieve real change. Every word in that definition is critical. Leadership's about influence. I want to influence as much as I can, but what does influence mean? I want you influencing me as much as you can. Relationship, as Mike's book says, become a leader worth following. Are you building relationships of care with people? Really critical. And then it just goes into achieve real change. Are you listening to the voice of your people? Now, here's what's exciting about Mike's book. Now that you write your definition, this is who I am as a leader. And Mike, you remember, Kevin, you too, writing your leadership point of view. And Kevin and Mike talks about that in his book. It's what do you stand for as a leader? All your people, by the way, want to know that report to you. They're curious. Who are you? They're trying to figure it out and they're trying to do what you need. Why not tell them? Here's the best way to work with me. But here's what you get from this awe-inspiring book. And as you see, there are so many different concepts baked in to once you know what your vision is, this is going to help you get there. This is going to help you reflect on yourself. And I love, there's a whole chapter about self-care, and as you look at that, there's 6 dimensions to self-care. Imagine if everybody took better care of themselves. They wouldn't be so snappy and crabby. They would actually be there they would feel comfortable. So look at his book, Guiding Forces, Self-Awareness, How to Manage a Team. There are so many concepts once you understand what leadership is. What do you want to do to bring out that leader in yourself? And by the way, use his book to go ahead and teach everybody else what leadership is. So I love that, Mike. Thank you for spending, I just know, the probably thousands of hours putting your voice into a book that's so powerful and has so many critical, I just feel like critical models, critical practices. Everyone, you could take one chapter a week and read the chapter. And I mean, it's like a year plan on becoming that leader. And I like, Mike, what you said. It's real cutting the cycle time. So let's not wait and have people take 20 years to become the leader they want to be. Because everyone I just facilitated this morning, they are about rare and infectious diseases. Talk about people, PhDs, doctors who want to make a difference. And yet they never learned how to lead. They all were specialists in their world. So this is the book, I think, Mike, that's going to help everybody lead the way they want to lead and change lives the way they want to. So thank you for inviting me to do a little mini hello leadership and bring it out. Thanks, Mike. Well done, you.
Thanks, Vicki. Thanks.
So Mike, let's talk for a moment about who you wrote this book for. And as we're launching the book today, who are the people who you're hoping will find, discover, read, and implement this book?
Well, the book is dedicated to my cooperative family. That's the group of people that work in the cooperative industry, electric co-ops nationwide. I could not have those people in mind. And there are hundreds of co-ops across the nation serving rural America, doing great service. And I know I've got at least 2 of those CEOs on the call with Les Penning and Brian. But it's really about whoever thinks they want to be a leader, who thinks they are a leader, this book's for you. And it starts with self-leadership, team leadership, and moves to organizational leadership. So I would love it if a few politicians would pick up this book, and pay special attention to the no O's of leadership section. But other than that, I just hope it makes a difference for anybody who wants to be a leader. So
amazing, thank you. So I do want to call on Brian Mills, special guest, and would you like to introduce Brian?
Yeah, so Brian Mills, he is the CEO of Powder River Energy Corporation. But more than that, Brian is just a good man, and he's picked me up when I've been down, and I'm glad, Brian, to see you, able to be here when I'm up. So what do you got to say, bud?
Hey, no, I appreciate the call out. I would just say, as many of you guys have known Mike, his relentless pursuit to understand is never quenched. And so starting with himself, and I think as he continues, he talked many times in his time at Powder River. I worked with him for 16 of his 20 years or so of that, 22 years. And reinventing himself, never being satisfied, and trying to do things in a way that would challenge the norm and continue to grow. And so that's one aspect that I think in my review of the book, as he has put it together, those are up close and personal stories that I can see in his book. I've seen some of them, not all of them. Of course, he had a lot of experiences ahead of Powder River, but the thing that probably is, if you get to know Mike, you'll know this. There is a deep concern for people, just meeting needs. He's an engineer, so he's a fixer. But he likes meeting those needs, and you can see just in how he's reinvented himself with his current role now. It's about fixing, and right now, as you've been able, this book encapsulates not necessarily fixing people, but that's the intent. How do you fix yourself? And like Vicki had shared, cut the time down, and open your ears, and maybe you open your ears and eyes and take a look at what he has done or what he's experienced, to maybe cut the learning curve. And so all rooted in his genuine concern for people. So appreciate your investment, Mike. Certainly in me, and certainly in Powder River. I'm a recipient of a lot of hard work that both Mike and Les has done in leading this organization, continuing to lead this organization that Mike has struck out and changed the trajectory for, frankly. And so thanks for a lot of things in that. So that's what I got.
Thanks, Brian. So Les, you have some remarks we could hear from you, buddy. Les, managing a co-op in Oregon. And, I hated it when he left, but I love to see him. Hated it when he flew the nest, but I love to see him soaring. So thanks, Les.
No, appreciate the invite, Mike, and great group you've amassed here of people reflecting on all that hard work and everything Brian has talked about. But yeah, Mike had I kind of everything I kind of have to his leadership, and we spent a couple decades together, and it super shaped my whole career and invested in me a bunch, and not always not only I know better now of the things I reflect on from 20 years ago, what actually I was learning at the time. Not always was it as transparent as I can look back on those things, but I want to echo some of Brian's comments. But the investment Mike had one made in me, even in difficult times, second to none. But the biggest thing, one of the key things that he taught me was the fact that it's one thing to have your leadership point of view and where you want to be. You're never gonna you're not all those things when you're aspiring to be something, and you're going to make mistakes. And the key that it took me a little bit to learn this even with Mike, but once I could actually go have a conversation with him and really get behind the scenes, I could better understand why he was doing what he wanted to do. Even if he was making a mistake, he would call out what he was trying to accomplish with that. And that, I think, for many leaders is one of the bigger issues. If you don't explain to people what you're trying to accomplish and let them know that you're aspiring to get to that thing, because you're going to make mistakes, and you're going to be held accountable to those things. And Mike was always accountable to it, but I didn't always give him the opportunity to explain where he was heading with something and get to that. And I learned that over a period working with him, and it really smoothed out once I could go and have the conversation, better understand that point of view and where it was at, and I learned from it. And so I try to share that today with the folks that I work with, that I'm always aspiring to be better and to accomplish those things. And that, and I think it helps them to know that we're human. We're going to make mistakes, but they know where our heart is. They know where we're grounded. They know what we're trying to accomplish, and they become part of your team to get there. But outside of the many, many things you've taught me, Mike, and helped me accomplish, that was one facet of many that I've appreciated in your exceptional work to constantly improve. I mean, I've always said to you that you got more energy in one finger, if you started coasting, for what most people do. It's tough to keep up with you, and I tend to think that I've got a pretty fast pace on things. But that was an amazing run, and still is today. But congratulations on this work. The world needs it.
Thanks, Les. Thanks, Les.
So Mike,
So-
one more question for you from me before we
Yeah.
call in more special guests. I'd love for you to share with those who have gathered today what your deepest aspirations and highest hopes for this book are. So what would you like this book to do as you let it out into the worlds?
When you self-publish a book, it's not about how many books you're going to sell, because it's just not going to be that many. It's like, what kind of difference can we make? The movement is the higher aspiration. If this book can help feed and serve a movement, it's not just, it's not just a book of the day. I mean, how many times have we seen the book of the day or the course of the day or the seminar of the day? This book goes deeper, can call us to go deeper within ourselves and be part of a movement that helps us create this aspiration of becoming a leader worth following. That would be cool.
So one thing that I've been noticing on this call, and I know that you and I work together on the title and positioning of the book and stuff like that, but I love that it's becoming, because if this were become a leader worth following, that would indicate that it's something that we can finish. But it seems like you're inviting us to like a becoming, which is something ongoing and active and alive.
Absolutely. It's the becoming it's a practice. It's something that we do every day, and we get so freaked out in the world because we think of where we are and where we want to go, and the gap seems so big and the distance so far. And I tell my clients today, it's like, it's just one step. What's the smallest step you can make in the direction that you want to go? That's what you can do. And so now we have 8 elements of becoming a leader worth following. What's the smallest step you can take in any one of those to get you closer on your journey? Take that step and keep making that small step day after day after day. That's what change looks like.
Amazing.
There's a lot of leadership books in the market that this book will compete with. So let's just call that as it is. I don't know how many leadership books are printed every year, or published, and so many of them take you on a journey but it's a theoretical journey. And that's okay. That's fine. But I think true, authentic leaders take you on a journey because they've been on one themselves. And what I love about this book is it really is a reflection of a raw and real and imperfect leadership journey that Mike Easley has been on for 25 plus years. And so this is Mike's journey, and we get invited into it, and we get to decide whether it can have an impact on our lives or not. I've known Mike for many, many years now, first as an executive coach and then as just a dear friend. And I can tell you that the guy behind the words in this book, I've watched him with Les and others. I've watched him craft a vision and then trip and fall and get up and keep moving to rally people around that vision and get better and better at doing that. I've watched Mike work with a board of directors that were mostly made up of hard to please, hard to impress ranchers in a roughshod community that they feel very passionate about, and yet he was able to bring them together and often move them in new directions they were uncomfortable with, but because of his conviction and with the team, with Les and others, get them on the same page. I've watched Mike work behind the scenes with messy employees and raise them to higher levels of moral development and higher levels of motivation. And on the other side of that coin, I've watched Mike struggle with opening the kimono and asking for feedback on his own messiness, and Les alluded to some of that, and be open to it and courageously take it and say, what can I learn from it and how do I grow from it and become a better leader? I've watched Mike work with brand new, entry-level employees all the way to the governors of Wyoming to try to make Wyoming a more innovative, sustainable state. And that takes guts and that takes courage, especially while you're trying to be a CEO at the same time. And maybe more importantly, I've watched Mike show up and be a leader worth following when things were unraveling at home and things were difficult. And you got to walk in with a stiff upper lip, and you got to be there, and you got to be a servant for those that count on you every day. And that takes courage and that takes guts. And as it's been alluded to, all of this has been done in one of the most incredibly special movements in our country, the cooperative movement, which is really unique because it's made up of volunteers. The cooperative movement is made up of people for the people. And when you're working with a community inside a cooperative, you've got everybody from the stay-at-home mom and dad to a sophisticated CEO to maybe even the governor of a state, and you got to figure out how to bring them all together and move them passionately in a certain direction. And I watched Mike do that. So this book is about leadership principles from somebody who's been tested, really tested in the fires of executive leadership. And let me talk just for a minute about Vicki said it very, very nicely. She said, your people want to know who you are. And I think readers want to know who you are too. Like, who's the person behind these pages, right? And I'd like to just spend just a moment for those of you that may be here because of the book, but don't know Mike as well, and talk about the character of the man behind the book. Mike is a guy, it's been alluded to a number of times here, I couldn't agree more, who carries himself with confident humility. He's got conviction, and when he believes in something, he's going to drive it forward. He's going to move it, and that conviction will carry it. But I think Les and Brian would attest to this. He knows he can't do it on his own because he stumbled trying to do it on his own. And, after you wake up and look the guy in the mirror for a while and go, well, how's that working for you? You learn that, hey, maybe it's better to surround yourself with people and help them become as passionate about that. And I think Mike learn to be humble in this journey. I don't know too many people that I've coached over the course of 30 years who are as other-centered as Mike Easley. He cares about the cooperative, he cares about people, he cares about the community. And I can tell you from a lot of hard conversations behind the scenes, behind the curtain, that bled through for me deeply. Brian said it nicely. Mike has been a lifelong learner ever since any of us have known him, from being a master in the martial arts to becoming a world-class, in my opinion, CEO, to now reinventing himself. And not, a lot of people would have just called it good, right? I've made the money, I've had the influence, I'll go boarding now, in Jackson Hole and spend my life doing that. But that's not Mike. Mike's not done having an impact in the world and making a contribution. And I'm sure whatever it comes after that, Mike, when you're 75 and we're having this conversation, you'll be reinventing yourself again and doing something else that's new. And we'll all be like Les, going, where the hell does he get all that energy? But I so love that about you, because you draw the rest of us up to say, don't be complacent. You can never stop learning. If you know Mike, he's an innovator. And in the leadership community, we like to talk about breakthrough. But if you're going to have breakthroughs, you got to break shit. And that takes courage. And I've watched Mike do new things inside the rural electric cooperative movement and try to take people out of the comfort zone and drive that. And it takes courage to do that. And finally, I think it's been said enough times already, but it's very clear that if you know Mike Easley, you know him to be a cause-oriented person. And I think what I love about what's behind this work is, you said it nicely, Mike, a minute ago, the movement is bigger than this book. This book is a piece of a larger movement of those of us who have come together and said, we need more leadership in this country. I mean, I don't want to make a political comment, but all you have to do is turn on the TV and watch the news and watch the debates and watch the coverage and go, man, if we could only get a little bit of down the road on these principles, would the world be better? And the answer is absolutely yes. So before I offer a toast, let me just say one final thing. Those of us on this call that have been in Mike's shoes know how incredibly difficult it is to wake up at 6 a.m, look at an empty computer screen, and have to turn it into a chapter, and do that 15 or 20 times. And Mike, I applaud you. I applaud you for doing the work. I applaud you for doing the work of putting your voice in something that, when you do this, you put yourself out there. Because you don't know how people are going to respond to this. You don't know how people will accept this. And there's nothing more vulnerable than this moment in time when a book gets launched, you put it out there in the world, you give it to people, and the kimono is open. And now you get to see how people respond. And I applaud you for the work and the guts and the courage to put your work out into the world. And the rest of us are the beneficiaries of that. So thank you. Let me offer a toast. I'm in Sundance, Utah, and it's a little bit before 1 o'clock. And I usually don't drink bourbon until after 6 or 7. But Mike, I'm going to empty the bottle for you today, brother. Let me offer a toast for those of you that have something in your hands. May this book open minds. May it open the minds of leaders who become more self-aware and more aware of how they land on people. May it open hearts. May the leaders whose minds are opened about how they land on people find the courage to do something with it and actually take action and change. And finally, may this book, Mike, open doors for you to expand your footprint in the world, to have a bigger impact with clients and future clients and make the world, put a little dent in the world by making more people's lives enriched because some leader worked with you and became better at what they do. Well done, my friend. Here's to you.
You, Mike.
Woohoo!
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Kevin.
So we're going to take a moment right now to think about the ways that everyone can contribute to this important movement to mobilize leaders worth following in our world. So the book is available today, the paperback and the ebook. And coming, I think it's October 10th, will be an audiobook for those of you who prefer to listen on audio. So keep your eyes open for that. But for those who would choose today to buy the book and leave a review on Amazon, Mike has created this amazing leader worth following self-care kit. Vicki talked about how if only leaders would practice the guidance that Mike has around self-care in this book, the world would be a much friendlier place, a less cranky place. So we hope that you'll choose today to go ahead and buy a copy of the book, even if you already have one, so that you can review it on Amazon and also enter your info, and Mike will send the first 50 people who do this, this amazing self-care kit. There are a lot of other ways that you can help spread this message as well. For those of you who have social media channels, maybe LinkedIn, Instagram, I personally love Threads. We would invite you to share Mike's book on your social media channels. And we've created some social media assets and graphics to make it really easy for you to do that. I like to tell the story of the day or week my book came out. My brother messaged me on Facebook and said, I'd love to share your book, but you need to tell me what to say. So if you're not sure what to say, all you have to do is go to the assets that we've created and you can copy and paste those and very quickly tell those who might be connected with you on social media channels all about becoming a leader worth following. We'd always, of course, welcome you to visit Mike's website, becomingaleaderworthfollowing.com. And Mike is open to any and all referrals for speaking opportunities and podcast appearances. So if you have a podcast and you'd like to invite Mike as a guest, he would love to join you to be able to talk about this work in the world more widely. Additionally, if you happen to have an email newsletter or some other means of communicating with the world, we would love for you to go ahead and talk about the book in those channels. And again, as I mentioned before, stay tuned for the audiobook, which is launching on October 10th. You've mentioned a couple of times the 8 dimensions. Would you share with us what those 8 are? Because you said if we only work on 2 or 3, the world would be a much different place.
Yeah, so the 8 dimensions of becoming a leader worth following are being self-aware. Leader worth following is self-aware. They have empathy. They're willing to teach. They have great expectations and an even greater heart. They face reality. They own their own weaknesses and know how to ask for help. They're mentally tough and emotionally predictable, and they change themselves first.
First, just want to say how proud I am of you, Mike. This is amazing. I definitely have seen how much work and how much heart has gone into this production. And Mike, I've known for very well for the last 3.5 years, takes being a lifetime learner to an entirely new level. And it's wonderful. And I think Kevin, you said that he's very innovative, and I couldn't agree more. If any of you watched the video that has the rooster in it, the chickens are something that we just got in the spring. So neither one of us really knew anything about chickens. And all of a sudden we have these 15 chickens, all of which we thought were hens. And so it's funny that we started out naming some of them, and don't tell him, but the rooster's first name was Big Mama. And then as we thought maybe it wasn't a hen anymore, we started calling him Big Mama Daddy. And of course, he's been deemed a rooster if you saw the video, which by the way is hilarious. And that in itself just shows these video editing. This is just one thing that Mike just taught himself in the last few weeks, really, is doing these, making these amazing videos and posts, and just so creative. And becoming a leader with following is really a reflection of how Mike lives. And he's just constantly learning new things, trying new things. And the other thing that stood out as Kevin was speaking is the confident humility. And that is something that Mike definitely embodies. And it's just a beautiful part of who he is. So just wanted to say how proud I am of you, and just grateful to be part of this journey with you. So thank you.
How wonderful is that? It's always my favorite part of a book launch party when a author's partner or friends or family are speaking out their words. We've got looks like Les wants to say something else. Les, welcome again.
Yeah, hey, thanks. And I just was going to ask Mike, and of course we have our friend Kevin on board here, who's a master at speaking engagements and also writing and the book side. But as you know, I'm a huge visual and auditory learner. So in the world of books, but you're so good. I think this book has a lot to bring to life. And I was wondering if you had any plans for speaking engagements, or if we contract in you to do that type of work, and how that may fit into the puzzle for bringing this stuff to life. Kind of what Kevin was talking about, when you live these experiences and you can get in front of people and bring those stories to life in the back end and teach off of that. I was seeing how that may fit into the launch, and also wanted to reflect on how good you are at that, and I think that'd be a great opportunity. But we'd probably love to have you come in on that.
Thanks, Les. Yeah. Always available. Spread the word. Of course, that just means if I'm going to do that, that means I need some more coaching, Kevin. So be ready.
You're ready.
Half my good quotes I stole from Kevin. So anyway.
Thanks so much. And you know, that is something I didn't mention when I was mentioning the ways that you could help. If you happen to be in an organization, you know, always buying multiple copies of a book is a way to spread the word about a book much faster. So whether you're doing a book group and bringing folks together, or buying the book as a gift for your employee teams, we would encourage you to check the book out for sure. Looks like Paul Ward would like to speak. Paul, welcome. Good to see you again.
Yeah, thank you, Becky. And until today, I didn't know Mike. So this is an introduction to Mike, and I'm just very grateful. Firstly, to Becky, I'm a fan of Becky's, having worked with her before and published a book, or actually two. But I was just delighted to be included in this launch party. They're a lot of fun. I've just got the ebook, just started to look at it. I love the focus on self-leadership and self-care. We have to start there. And my first look at the book is I'm just very excited to finish and help promote it. So thanks, Mike, for all your good work. Delighted to meet you today, and wish you all the success. Thank you,
Paul.
Thanks, Paul. Great to see you. So we do have time for maybe one or two more if you have comments or questions. Mike, I'm curious to hear what the experience of doing the audiobook was like for you.
That was amazing, actually. It was a great experience. I worked with, well, you would think after many times you've edited a book, it's like one more time, are you crazy? But it was such a great experience to go through it. I've decided to take the first book I wrote and do an audiobook on it. So I'll be starting that within maybe a few more weeks. But that book is it's a book on dysfunctional relationships. So that's like the bookends of things that I'm good at: dysfunctional relationships and leadership. So I wrote that. That book is going to become an audiobook, and it's called The Antics. So it was such a great experience. I'm going to do it again. So I guess that's kind of the answer to that question, Becky.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Looks like Kendra's here to speak. Welcome.
Hey, daughter.
You'll have to unmute. Still muted. Should be at the bottom of your Zoom panel. Let's see, if you don't have your Zoom in full screen, if you maximize, you should be able to see a little microphone that says audio, and you can click on it and it should unmute you. And I'll send you the alert. It might pop up. How about now? No, let's keep working at it. Kendra, Tyler has his hand raised. I'm going to let Tyler speak and then we'll come back to you. All right, Tyler, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Hey, Tyler.
How you doing?
Good.
Yeah, I've talked with Mike a little bit just through LinkedIn and email, and he sent me the book, and I've read a good portion of it, but just been busy here lately, and I look forward to maybe doing some coaching with you, and wanted to thank you for writing the book. I do appreciate it, and you know, everything that you're talking about with leadership is I follow right along with. You know, I've got the conviction and you know, I'm just looking forward to you know, bringing about my ideas and what I'm passionate about, and just teaching people about that and using your leadership to help me.
Yeah, well, Tyler, super proud of you and the efforts that you're doing. For those that don't know, Tyler's working, one of his big projects and his passion is Bitcoin mining, which is a little bit, when you take a look at Gillette, we always think of coal mining. Now Tyler's got a big interest in that. So kind of an entrepreneurial, innovative guy in your own right, Tyler. So look forward to working with you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, we're still trying to see if we can troubleshoot with Kendra. I sent you a chat, Kendra, in the event that
I got it.
Oh, you got it.
I did. I just want to say how proud I am of you, Dad. You've been a great leader all of my life, and to see the growth has been awesome. And to watch it and experience it, we have both grown from each other, and I'm proud of you.
Yeah. Well, some of the pain I caused as a grown up or as a leader, definitely my children felt over my life. And so thanks for hanging in, Kendra. I love you.
I love you. Love you big time.
Yeah.
Big fun. Proud of you.
Thanks, Kendra.
You're welcome. Okay, I'm gonna cry, so I gotta go.
I know everybody's going to be crying. As we start to wrap up, I'm going to kick it back to you, Mike, to have some parting thoughts for folks. But just a reminder that when you leave a review on Amazon and when you buy the book, Mike is going to send the first 50 people who do that this Leader Worth Following self-care kit as a thank you. And it looks super cool. And I love that mailing envelope. So I hope to get on that list. Also, we would love your support in sharing this book more widely through your social media posts, through any newsletter mentions or podcast appearances. And, you know, hopefully everybody's going to get on board with Les and book Mike for a speaking event and buy the book in bulk and share it with your teams. And then we also hope that you'll check out that audiobook coming October 10th. And then beyond that, stay tuned for Mike's other book coming on audio if you're a person who loves audiobooks. So Mike.
So just a quick, before we go, I want to shout out to a few folks. Paul Erickson, thank you for being here and your support on LinkedIn, helping get things going. Les, thank you. Robert Wilkinson, one of my lifetime heroes. He's quietly been watching. So Robert, you know I love you, buddy. And look, thanks for being here and sharing on this. My friend Kevin Bullard, I don't know if you're still on. We were colleagues in Kevin Blanchard's executive MBA course that we took. And so shout out to you. You know, folks, I guess here's the deal. We go through our life with lots of anxiety and stress because we worry about changing things we can't, and we forget about changing things that we can. And so I invite you to maybe use this book as maybe a stepping stone to focus on changing things that you can, and that's you. And the roadmap is there. The journey has been, underway. Let's join together and do what we can to change the world and make it a better place. Let's say this: make the world an even better place. Because contrary to what you hear out there, it's not all that bad. There's still lots of good going on. So thanks.